I am Sheena Roller again, interventionist for reading and math at East Jessamine Middle School, and am here to talk again about easyCBM. Last video, we talked about logging into easyCBM, and we will practice that again this video. This video is going to be about assigning students to teachers and also then grouping students. So most folks may not assign students to teacher because that's a job for your building manager. You may be the building manager, in which case you will do that work. So we will look at how that works. And then as far as grouping goes, I want to talk a little bit about how we used to do it and how I would recommend you do it now. When we first learned about easyCBM, the idea in easyCBM is that you group based on like abilities, same level that you determine from iReady or MAP or the benchmark in easyCBM that we'll talk about in another video. But what we found was that was problematic for several reasons. One, you would of course name it something innocuous, but most kids know that the red group and the blue group are different abilities, and they can figure out who's in their group and why they're in that group. And maybe that's something you want them to know, maybe it's not, but easier not to deal with that conflict, I think, if you can help it. So that was one problem. The second problem was that students move at their own pace through easyCBM, just like they do through any tiered work. And so in order to let them move at their own pace, each student needed to be their own group, because if you had the red group and it had Charlie and Jim and Paul in it, and Paul was ready to move skill levels, but Jim did not do as well and maybe even fell behind, and Paul seemed to be staying in the same place, you can't move those three separately if they're in a group together. So we decided that the best thing to do would be to assign each individual its own group. That's what I would recommend. That's what worked for me. Besides just making it easier to move students, it also means they don't have to figure out why anyone else is in their group or why their group is called Robins instead of Blue Jays. So there's a couple of different reasons, but I would definitely go with the assigning each individual in their own group. And we'll look at how to do that in this video. So the website, again, is jessamine-ky.easycbm.com. Remember, you can bookmark that just by going to it and then clicking this star to bookmark. I don't necessarily want to bookmark where I am right now. And then, of course, you'll log in with your first name dot last name, and everyone's password is the same, capital JESSAMINE1. There are some folks who may have a number after this last name, just like you do in your email. There are also some folks who may have first initial last name. So we will go to the same site that we visited in our last video, easyCBM. And once you get to easyCBM and log in, this is your dashboard. And your dashboard has a number of different tabs, for lack of a better word: students, measures, reports, and interventions. And then in your dashboard, you again see students, measures, reports, interventions. Clicking here or clicking here gets you to the same place. These cards also add resources, which we'll talk about in a different video, and account. I've never had to do anything in account. I'm sure that is something that probably is an administrative thing. I don't think you'll have to do anything in account, so I would just ignore account. Today, in this video, we're going to work with students. So we'll start at students, and here you see two tabs, My Students and Teacher Student Setup. If you are the building manager, or if you are responsible for setting up your own class in terms of assigning students to you as the teacher, then you'll go to Teacher Student Setup first. These are all the teachers in my building in the past and present. So I'm going to go to myself and go ahead and show you how to assign students. Click on Sheena Roller, and then underneath in my school, we have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. If your school is kindergarten through 5th, then these grades will be different. Hannah Campbell, who is our easyCBM czar, that's her title, will set you up first in the school, in the building, and these teachers. And then from there, you will be able to then assign students to the teacher as needed. You won't be able to log in or anything else if Hannah Campbell has not set you up as our easyCBM czar. So we are going to go here to 6th grade, and I'm just going to randomly take the first 2 kids in alphabetical order. Not my class, just going to show you how to do it. Again, same thing here, just the first 2 kids in 7th grade, and I'll take the first 2 kids in 8th grade. So I'll have a class of 6. I then go to my students. So if someone else has set this up for you, you never have to go to teacher-student setup. If you have a different building manager who's already done this, don't worry about teacher-student setup. If you need to, you can go ahead and set up your class or the classes in your building as you need to. My students is where you go as an individual teacher ready to work with that class. So I have 6 students in my class, and I do need to put them into groups. Again, I want to group them each as their own group. So I'm going to start with this first student whose name is Lane, and I will just go ahead and type in Lane. I'm going to hit OK because I've named my group. Then I'm going to do Edit. I'm going to check Lane so he is in my group and click OK again. You'll notice that this class is no longer set up by grade, even though I put 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in there. It's just alphabetical order based on their name, and it does not set up by grade, but that's okay, because I'm giving each person their own group anyway, so it doesn't matter if they're in a different class of mine, because when I go to this, I'll find all of my students. So then we'll do the same thing here with another group. This is Ellen, so we will call this group Ellen, and we will click OK, and then we will edit Ellen, and when we edit Ellen, we will put Ellen in the group and click OK. And so here you see Ellen is in the Ellen group, Lane is in the Lane group, and you would go ahead and do this for each of your students. So again, this is sort of tedious, especially if you have 20 or 30 students total. Of course, in intervention, you shouldn't have really large classes, but if you have a number of students, this is a bit tedious, but it does work very well in the long run when you need to put students in their levels based on their own abilities and based on their own pacing. And that allows them to complete as they need to, and as you need to move them, it's much easier to move them. So this is, again, creating a teacher-student setup, and then also, once that setup is created for you or by you, creating groups. And you would do this for every student. Again, I'll do it one more time. We add a group. We go to the student that we're going to add. So I'm going to create a group here for Joshua. I'm going to say OK. Then I have to go in to edit that group and make sure Joshua is the one checked in that group. Again, OK. And then I just want to double check. Ellen's in Ellen's group, Joshua's in Joshua's group, and Lane is in Lane's group. Sometimes this gets a little wonky, so definitely check and make sure that you have the correct students in each group. And that concludes the video on teacher-student setup and grouping students. I will see you in a future video regarding easyCBM. Thanks.